You're listening to On the Move with Maki. I'm your host, Makisha Noel, or Maki for short. The goal of this podcast is to elevate the stories of diverse, multi-passionate creators in and outside of the marketing and advertising industry. They are the ones who stay ahead of the curve in this ever-evolving world. So, all episodes will provide listeners with the tools to help make decisions in their creative journeys while highlighting the trends shaping the internet in real life. Excited to have you here. Come on in. Hello. Wow, here we are. Hi, guys. Hey. Thank you for tuning in. Here's part 3. Okay, so let me fill y'all in on what's going on. This is part 3 of a podcast that was supposed to be one episode, right? Started recording because I wanted to talk about some things that I walked away from in 2022, or some what my experience was in 2022. And I'm sitting here recording this episode and I'm like, oh, absolutely not. This episode's going to be a lot longer than I think it's going to be. So I want to welcome y'all to part 3 of how my 2022 went. And, you know, if you listen to the other episodes, you've heard that this year I traveled immensely in celebration of other people. This year I worked the BET Awards in LA, and that was my first time in LA in June, among all the other amazingness that I experienced this year. And I realized that this is going to take a lot more time. And so there were 3 pieces that were left out of part 2. They got left off bad and bougie, but that's all right. We about to turn it in. We're about to bring it in into this episode. And my energy is where it is. And let's just be honest about life right now. You know, 1, this is my podcast. So I come on here, however the hell I feel. But 2, such is life. You know, just came off of a wonderful holiday break with family, spent it in Georgia. Also got to see my girls, have us a nice dinner. And, you know, Christmas was cool. Christmas was also tough because if you've been following, or if we're friends, you know, if we've talked, you know, that my father passed away this year. So this year, this holiday season wasn't what it normally is. So that's a hard one. And so that is part of what I'm pulling into this part 3 of how my 2022 went. A recap, a wrapped episode of On the Move with Maki. Also, please excuse me because we also know that this is allergy season. So I don't know if this is allergies. I don't know what this is. But my asthma is like flaring up heavy. So let's hope that in the middle of this episode that I do not have an asthma attack. How about that? Let's pray that does not happen. Okay. So welcome to On the Move with Maki. I know this intro was a little weird, you know, especially for my creators, movers, and shakers who follow me because they want to hear the stories of their favorite creatives, business owners, entrepreneurs, those who are making waves in the marketing and advertising industry. You come here to listen to those stories. But you're also here to listen to my story because I'm also a creative in the marketing and advertising industry who is also a human living a very human existence. So that's why you're here. But let's go ahead and get into how my 2022 went. 2022 went part 3. So there are 3 things that I want to share with you. Like I said, if you've been following along, you know about these things. And if not, hey, hi, how you doing? Thank you for joining me, Makisha Noel, the host of On the Move with Maki. So this is a tough one. How my 2022 went. In November of 2022, I lost my father to stage 4 cancer. And it feels very difficult talking about this. The thing is that in we learned about his diagnosis in August of 2022. Excuse me. And so the doctors told us what we're dealing with, you know, what we're being faced with. But, you know, there's a large part of you that's like, you know, like, thank you for that information. I'm going to store that information somewhere, right? Like, thank you for telling me this. But, like, you don't think that it's actually going to happen. Like, you don't think things are going to take a turn. I guess it just also depends on what your life's journey has looked like, right? Like, let's say you're someone, life was throwing curveballs at you at an early age. You're like, all right, here's another curveball. I've seen this movie before, you know. But with my existence, the life that I've been living, the 29 years I've been living on this earth so far, life has thrown me some curveballs as an adult that, you know, made an impact in my life, but didn't slap nearly as much as this one. I really hope to not be like sniffling throughout the whole episode. But I didn't expect this. This was not on my vision board. I was not privy to this. There was no meeting. There was no nothing. There was no dream. There was nothing that could have prepared me for learning that my father had stage 4 cancer and that we would do everything that we could to ensure that he was taken care of. Nothing could have prepared me for that. So, there go the waterworks. And so this was a big curveball. So in June of 2022, my father, he started to express extreme pain in his abdomen. And this was kind of abnormal because, as we know in Haitian culture, and I'm Haitian for those who don't know, hello. You know, in Haitian culture, it's normalized to endure pain, to find your own remedies for curing. That's why the media loves to call us resilient. Because in the face of the most terrible things ever, here we stand strong as a rock, right? So it was very abnormal for my father to open his mouth to even say that he was experiencing pain. And I also want to say this, I have a whole episode, my brothers and I have a whole episode dedicated to talking about our father on Air with the Noels. So you'll have an opportunity to see my brothers and I kind of talk through our feelings and just how we're working through the death of my father. But I can say that this is the hardest experience I've ever had to deal with today, to date. And when my father approached us, like, that's when something felt off. Something felt different. Oh, excuse me. Something felt different. But, you know, like, when he expressed that to us, I was kind of thinking, like, oh, okay, you know, like, you're in pain, something's wrong. Okay, you're probably sick. Like, there's something, like, you're probably sick. Like, maybe you have the flu, maybe, you know. And so then he went to urgent care, you know, and I don't remember if urgent care, if he like walked away what he needed, but I just remember him also kind of coming back and saying like, yo, this is something like it's just a lot of pain, and and then like I think kind of subsided, right? And this, I think this was in June. And the next thing you know, in mid-August, he coughs blood. And now we're like, okay, this is an emergency. To be coughing blood, like I understand if you sneeze or like you have what's it called? A bloody nose run. But for you to be coughing blood, something's off. So we went to the emergency room, and we went to the emergency room. They ran a whole bunch of tests. And then hours later, the doctor walks in as me and my mother. My brothers were traveling at the time, and when the doctors walked in and he was with his assistants, they closed the door, and I was like, oh, okay, we're closing doors now. And then the doctor said ever so boldly that I do not have good news. Your father has stage 4 cancer. This was without a biopsy, by the way. So it was very frustrating at the time when he said that. No biopsy, just looking at tests. Not a very good thing. And, that's another conversation. And so from there, we went to work. We prayed. We tried to calm ourselves down. We didn't think that this is where we would be. We didn't think that the other side of this looked like death. We thought our love was enough to cure him. We thought us fighting doctors at every corner was enough. We thought that. Or at least I thought that the effort that we put in was going to make things change. Something had to change. We asked doctors smart questions. We did a lot of research ourselves. We reached out to our community, to our family. So clearly, as you can see, I'm still processing this. And so you're probably wondering, how can I record a podcast episode while dealing with such a heavy thing? If I wanted to be... I wanted y'all to see the real. So, okay. I wanted y'all to see the real. Okay. And so on November 6th, he took his last breath. And so I remember seeing a post on social about how no one talks about or it rarely talks about watching your parents age, right? My dad was 58 at the time of his passing. He was 58 years old. And what the post said was, as our parents get older, they get slower, they become more forgetful. But also when you just grow up with parents who are supportive, who are cheerleaders like mine, you start to believe that they're going to last forever. They're always going to be here. They're always going to be rooting me on. They're always going to be encouraging me to be better, or to go for that promotion, or to, do well in every single thing. Like, you would think that they're going to be there forever, always cheering you on. But never in a million years could I have predicted that I'd be ending my 20s without my father. He was not only my father, but he was my champion. He was my guiding light. And he was my friend. My dad was everything to me. Until one unexpected lesson. Wow, please excuse me, all the noises. But one unexpected lesson was the joy it is to not only be loved, but to love. The unexpected lesson was the joy that it is to not only be loved because my father loved me unconditionally, but to love, but to give love. And so one thing my dad said when he was sick was, wow, I knew you guys loved me, but I didn't know it was to this extent. Life gets busy. You're juggling so many things in the middle of the grind and trying to prepare for your own future, especially coming from a Haitian background. You're your parents' retirement plan. You are the retirement plan. Not any large sum of money that they saved up. Not any large sum of money that, they got in their 401k. You are the retirement plan, right? So you get lost in that hustle. You get lost in that grind. I'm going to work. I'm going to do what I need to do. I'm going to do the long hours. I'm going to work to get that promotion because my parents are dependent on me. My parents are dependent on me. So I got to do this. I have to do this. Right? So you have moments where you kind of forget that. You kind of forget like, yo, my parents are still aging, right? But my dad, he literally worked until he could not. He worked until he could not. He worked until he couldn't sit for any period of time that wouldn't cause him immense pain. Because that's what cancer is. So our automatic response was to love him and care for him and honor him. That was our duty. But not only was it our duty, but it was an honor. It was an honor to serve a king up until the last few minutes when he took his last breath. And I think the thing that makes it tough is that I was there. I was the one that discovered that he wasn't breathing and that he had taken his last breath. So, that's where I'll leave it. That's where I'll leave it. Because if I dive in too deep, you know how that goes. I'm going to say that part for therapy. Why don't I do that? Why don't I do that? Let me say that part for therapy and for grief counseling. But that was an unexpected part of 2022 that I could not have predicted, that I could not have anticipated, but that was a part of my experience this year. I have 2 more items I want to share with you on part 3 of how my 2022 went. And how I'm doing is I'm talking through what it was and the lesson I took from it, because what is life without its lessons? And so I hope that through what I share with you, as I share with you a piece of my heart and a piece of who I am, that in that moment, you'll also get to discover more of who you are and that you'll find comfort and safety in you, because you see that there are people doing it. There are people that are doing the work, and there are people who are evaluating themselves and loving on themselves, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter where you go. This is your home. You, like, within yourself, this is home. I could live in DC, LA, France, Portugal. I can live anywhere, and I can call those places home. I can call those places the place where I live, but where will always be, I can live in a house, an apartment, a flat, whatever the case is, but this is home. My mind, my heart, this is home, and this needs to be well. And I have to take care of this, because when I go to sleep at night, and when the Lord calls me home, or when the Lord calls any of us home, right? Like this, we go with this. Nothing that we've acquired on earth will leave earth with us. So I pray that you take some things away from my experiences, and find that you too can find peace even in the middle of chaos. I'm not telling you that I've already figured it out, because I have not. I have not figured it. I do not have the keys to the kingdom. I do not have the keys. I ain't got the keys. I ain't got it. I ain't got it. I ain't got it. I'm still looking for it for myself. So I pray that you find that I'm also on this journey with you, and that you're seen, and that you're loved, and that you matter. So the second two things I want to share on part 3 of how my 2022 went. And I keep on saying how my father was proud of the woman that I became, and he made it very clear. My dad wasn't someone that held back praises or compliments. Like, he was very much so like, wow, you are amazing at this. You need to do this full time. Like, I remember I said this at his funeral. I cooked a steak dinner one time for my family. My dad was like, mind blown. Wow, you need to open a steak restaurant, Maki, immediately. Man was dead serious. I'm like, look, I'm already in my career. I do not need to open a restaurant right now. What? You know, so he wasn't someone that held back compliments, right? So before he passed, I became a 2022 ADCOLOR Future. I'm going to ask him to clap right there. I became a 2022 ADCOLOR Future that he was very proud of. And I was also very proud of myself. Let me tell you what ADCOLOR Futures is. So it is a unique program that's dedicated to identifying and nurturing the next generation of leaders in the advertising, marketing, media, public relations industry. So the program offers sponsorship to attend the ADCOLOR conference and awards. They offer career training through ADCOLOR University, short and long-term membership, as well as activities that are really designed to inspire that creativity within us and to build camaraderie, because there was 30 of us that were selected this year. So let me also share that this was my third time. Three times I applied to become an ADCOLOR Future. And I've been following the program for years, and it's just so inspired by how they're making waves in the DEI space, diversity, equity, inclusion, and holding partners and allies accountable for what they said. So every single black box that you saw on social in June 2020, every single PR statement that was put out that companies are talking about Black Lives Matter, ADCOLOR is the place where that accountability is being held for partners and for allies who say that they stand with DEI. There's still a very long way to go. I'm not saying anything is perfect, right? In 1960, if you've done your research about the marketing and advertising industry, the industry was made up of 3% black folks. As of 2020, so I need to look at the updated stat. As of 2020, the industry is now made up of 6%. So over 50 years have passed, and there's only been a 3% increase within the industry. Why? The industry is white. The industry caters to a certain type of culture. The industry tolerates, and I will say that very boldly, the marketing advertising industry, what I've seen, tends to tolerate people of color as opposed to celebrating them internally. There's a lot of public celebration of Black lives. There's a lot of public celebration of Black culture. But when it comes to actually nurturing Black folks and caring about Black and brown communities, that tends to be non-existent or exists on a very basic scale that doesn't actually hold the company accountable. It tends to look like pizza parties, or we're celebrating Black History Month by doing this event that the Black folks organize. You know, we're doing this thing, that thing. But what happens? What about the internal accountability that's so important for your Black folks, Black and brown folks that work within the actual company? I was not planning on standing on the soapbox to talk about that, but ADCOLOR Future, ADCOLOR specifically, aims to continue those conversations, continue that discourse that leads to action, or continues the discourse that comes from the action that we're taking in different parts of the industry. Okay, so that is what ADCOLOR Futures is. So now ADCOLOR Futures recognizes the next generation of those who are to stand in the fold and to be leaders within this space. And so I was selected this year. And the lesson for this one is, and it's really simple, never give up on what you want. The thing is that you are allowed to change your mind about what you want. You are allowed to want something differently. It doesn't matter how much time has passed. It doesn't matter, you know, how old you are. It does not matter. You are allowed to change your mind, right? So in that, don't give up on what you want, because the goal might look different. Or what is it that they say? Because I want to make sure I'm getting this correctly. I'm not trying to throw y'all off, because a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. Let me just let y'all know that piece. But never give up on the things that align with who you are and what you want. And so making a world impact is something that is important to me. And so I'm going to align myself with those opportunities that align with that goal, right? And so I was like, I want to be an ADCOLOR Future. I want to be in this space. I'll work around people who do not look like me, who don't get it, who don't get the jokes, right? Like, you know, I do my best to understand the jokes, and I tend to understand them. But it's just a different ball game when you're in a place with people who look like you, or people who are like striving for the same things that you're striving for. I'm not saying that we need a homogenous structure or a homogenous workplace all the time. I'm just saying, give me something. I'm from around the way, and I'm going to leave with something, right? And so never give up what you want. These tangents, I just keep going on. So the thing is that when I was applying, I was constantly knocking on mentors' doors, finding ways to contribute so I can make an impact. And if I gave up, I realized I would have never met the most selfless group of leaders, change makers I've ever met in my life. There were 30 of us selected to be ADCOLOR Future this year, and out of hundreds of people that applied. And so my cohort, they work at Meta, Google, Oprah Winfrey Network, Ad Fellows by Verizon. Excuse me. My cohort really, during that time, this was November, the end of November, they allowed me, and we were in LA because we were all flown to LA for the ADCOLOR Futures. I mean, for the ADCOLOR Futures programming and the ADCOLOR conference. And so during that time, while we were in LA, my cohort allowed me to be vulnerable, allowed me to grieve and laugh in the same breath, to be silent and to speak when I had it in me. Man, I appreciate them so much, every single one of them. And Spotify also came through with a brunch where we learned more about what their team members are doing for the culture. Disney hosted a workshop on the work that they do to be more inclusive. Two incredible ladies came through to teach us improv so that we were ready for ready for the hackathon presentations where we received a brief where we had to create an initiative that addressed DEI within certain spaces. I was placed within the film and TV industry group. We did not win the hackathon, but that's okay. That's okay. You win some and you lose some. I lost that one, but that's all right. Congrats to the group that won. So, it was an incredible experience, and it was tough because that week before is when my father had passed. And so just kind of balancing it all, I'm not a clown. So like, it's kind of hard to juggle. You know what I mean? Everything in life can't be a juggle all the time, but sometimes that's how it feels. I'm serious. Like Bozo the clown, juggling. Your girl gets tired, right? So it's a lot. It was a lot in a moment to work through, but it was beautiful. It was beautiful. Just all the amazing people that came together that are just doing work in their own fields and also just so human and so present. It was just a beautiful experience. And that leads me to my last point. God is so good. This was not on my vision board, right? But this was within my vision. If you are tuned into On Air with the Noels, you'll learn that my brothers and I have created our own Mount Rushmores. And so I think we recorded this episode probably a few weeks before I went to LA, where we asked each other, like, who's on your Mount Rushmore? And I was like, oh, of course, Issa Rae, Oprah Winfrey. I think I said Morgan DeBond, LeBron James. Just heavy hitters in my eyes that are like, really recognize their secret sauce within their respective industries and just still were full steam ahead. And so let me tell you how it went. The last thing that I want to share, how my 2022 went, was that I met Issa Rae. Whew. I didn't just meet Issa Rae, right? I hugged Issa Rae. I felt her skin on my skin, bro. Relax, we're not so crazy. Literally on my Mount Rushmore, I met her. Okay, so let me rewind. I'm mad excited because for me, I'm just letting y'all know. For me, meeting Issa Rae is like meeting Oprah to me. You might have a different perception. That's fine. You do you. I'm do me. That's how I see it, because Issa is an example of a Black, especially dark-skinned woman that is making incredible waves using her own level of authenticity, right? And this is what I said on stage when I met her. Oh, on stage? You met her on stage? You met her on stage? Yes, I met her on stage. Let me rewind. Because I thought when I was going to meet my Mount Rushmore, Issa Rae, on my Mount Rushmore, it was probably going to be at a book signing or something. Like, she come out with a book. I'm being in line, of course, especially if it's in Miami or wherever it is in this world. I'm going to be there. It takes nothing to book a flight, right? So let me tell you how it went. I'm sitting here, I'm at ADCOLOR, with my cohort, and I'm walking, and they're like, oh, there goes Tiff. Let's see if we can get a picture with her. I'm like, of course, like, we're the futures. We definitely need to get a shot with the founder of ADCOLOR. And so I went up to her, she was walking by, and I was like, hey, Tiffany, my cohort wants to take a picture with you. Do you have a chance? Like, do you have time? Could make that happen? And she said that she needed a moment, but also she wanted to talk to me. And I was like, wait, hold on. Okay, cool. I mean, I know you checked in with me the other day because like we had prayed together, because she learned that my father had passed. And And so, like, you know, I was like, I'm doing a lot better now. Thank you so much. And I'm really want to make sure I'm in the moment, I'm present, and that I'm making him proud. And so, like, she was like, all right, walk with me. And I was like, all right, let's walk. Let's see what's up. And she asked me, do you like Issa Rae? And I was like, me? Do I like Issa? Are we talking about Makisha Noel right now? Who are we talking about? Do I like Issa Rae? Absolutely. Absolutely. And so in that moment, she asked me, well, so I would love if you can present the Beacon Award to her. And I was like, hold up. So this was not planned. For those who have been on the journey, who have been following me, this is not planned. I didn't know before I was coming to LA that I was going to be presenting this award teaser. If anything, when my father had passed, I was like, you know, that's the same week I'm supposed to be in LA. And, you know, I kind of asked my family, like, hey, you know, just kind of being open. I asked my family, hey, like, are we okay with pushing the funeral to that specific weekend? You know, like, Daddy knew that I was going to go to LA, and, you know, he was very proud of it. And I just want to know if y'all are open to, you know, me continuing to have that experience, as hard as it's going to be. But, you know, is that something that y'all are open to? Where's my water? Devin, I'm so sorry. I'm putting you through work to record this episode. I mean, I'm putting you through this work to edit this episode, child. So they're like, yes, like, of course, like, we wouldn't have this without you. Like, do your thing. So before I asked my family that, I was like already thinking, like, okay, I'm gonna have to ask the travel agent, hey, can you book me to come on? I think we're flying on that Tuesday, but book me to come back home on Friday so I can be there with my family for like the homegoing. And so, like, I wasn't, like, before I'd even opened my mouth, and this is the lesson, and we're getting to the lesson. Before I'd opened my mouth, you know, I was like, all right, I'm going to miss the awards. I'm going to have to come home. I'm going to be with my family. That's what it's going to be. And so before I actually came to LA, and when my family was like, you know, like, that's what dad, what I wanted for you. Like, please go have that experience. You know, I didn't know that I was going to be presenting to Issa Rae. Tiffany actually asked me, the founder of ADCOLOR, asked me this on my dad's birthday. It was on my dad's birthday that she pulled me aside and asked me, and I was like, wow. And literally that morning, I was like, God, please show me that my dad is still here with me. And so he was pulling some strings. My old boy was pulling some strings, some heartstrings, some strings in the heavenly realms. Strings were being pulled for your girl, right? And so when she asked me, I was elated. Of course. That's not even a question. What? That's not even a question. And so that's what it was. Like, I sat down with the writer. We talked about what Issa Rae means to me and how she's changed the trajectory of my career as a creative, as a leader in the media space. And meeting her was incredible. I said the speech, and the chief content officer actually is the one that brought me to the stage. And I said the speech, and then I welcomed Issa Rae, 2022 ADCOLOR Beacon Award, Issa Rae. She came on the stage. She hugged the chief content officer. I have the award in my hand. And she walks up to me, and I was like, wow, is she walking up to me right now? I said, is she walking up to me right now? possible. Yes, she was. And so she hugged me, the most genuine hug ever. I was like, yo, this is crazy. Oh my gosh, I'm so Miami. Look at me. I'm like, yo, this is bogus. What? This is bananas. On this stage, hug. Wow. And then I stood at the X. I stood by where I was supposed to stand. So I got the hell out the way so she could do her speech. And when she started talking, she was like, thank y'all so much like for this award. And then she turned to me and she was like, Makisha, of course you can do anything. And I can't wait to listen to your podcast. And I was like, what? So freaking surreal. I did not feel like I was on planet Earth within that moment. So it was incredible getting to honor Issa Rae, the ADCOLOR Beacon Award. And you would have thought that that night that I had won the award, the amount of people that were coming up to me just expressing like, wow, you really shared some powerful words and I really loved your speech. And I was just hella shook because I was just speaking what was on my heart about how I felt about this leader, this change maker, this innovator. And Issa, I hope you really do listen to my podcast. Like, I'm going to find the right channels to get this to you, ma'am. But it's crazy because in that moment, I was like, I am her and she is me. Like, even in the middle of her fear and awkwardness, she went after what she wanted. And so that's what 2022 was. 2022 was a year of going after what I wanted. But here's the thing. Although this was in terms of like career and like personal branding and impact, I realized that going after what I want is not just about careers, not just about the hustle and the grind. Because what I realized what I wanted this year was to really love on my community more and to love on my people more, love on my friends, love on my sisters, my brothers, my family, to love on the people around me more. And so that's what I did. I had the opportunity to travel with those I loved, share amazing memories. I had so much fun. You know, I would say it's a really well-rounded year. I also ended therapy. And that wasn't one of the bullet points that I shared earlier. But, you know, I think going through therapy really helped me to learn how to be more vulnerable and open with myself. And because I'm open with myself, I'm more open to other people. And so that's why I'm able to confidently just share with you what's happening in my life, because I'm like, this is important. My story is important. Your story is important, right? Who you are matters. What you want matters. You are called to be not only great, but you were designed with the capacity to pick things up when you want to pick things up. You were designed with the capacity to put things down and to slow your ass down when you need to slow down. You were created with the capacity to do all those things, right? I was watching the episode of Revolt, the multi-generational conversation that Angie Martinez moderated, and it was Miss Tina Knowles, Winnie Harlow, her, Kelly Rowland, and the forever First Lady, Michelle Obama, in a multi-generational conversation about life, about leadership, about love. And Michelle was saying something so powerful about Do not let great be the enemy of good, right? And this is huge for me because when you feel like you have a calling so strong in your life, you will do anything. Like, not only, because here's the thing, let me slow down a little bit, because one can recognize the calling that they have in their life, but it's another thing to act on it. Because the calling in your life tends to be so great that you are crippled by fear to even take the first steps to achieve it, to take the first steps to obtain it, right? Because the calling is so great that sometimes we find ourselves so crippled by wanting to move towards that greatness with perfection. I need to do every single thing right so that I can do this bigger thing that I was called to do. And sometimes that perfectionism holds us back. Excuse me. Sometimes that fear holds us back to actually attaining the thing that we're supposed to attain. Right? So Michelle says, do not let great be the enemy of good. Do not get so caught up in this big, great thing that I'm meant to achieve that in those moments where I don't feel great, in those moments where I just need to feel good and okay, it's impossible to do so because it's like, I got to be great at every single moment. I got to be great at every single thing that I do. And it's not about that. Our lives are meant to be lived. Our lives are meant to be lived. We are human beings. We are not human doings. We are not robots. So we are meant to love those around us. We are meant to love ourselves, and we are meant to love those around us. That is also your purpose. Your purpose is also community. Your purpose is also loving other people. Sometimes we only assign purpose to career. We only assign purpose to the great big old things that we do that we post on social media. But it's like your purpose is also doing right by people. Your purpose is also letting your word be impeccable. It's doing the things that you said you would do. And I'm preaching to myself. That's the thing, y'all. I'm preaching to myself as well. Let me close this laptop because this thing's in my way. Like that's what I want us to have in our minds as we're going into 2023. And I pray that y'all get to the end of this podcast episode so you can feel me on this. When we go into the new year, remember who you are. And if you don't know who you are, get started. Get started. Like you have today. You still have breath in your lungs because you're listening to this. Get started. Slow down and get started because you have the opportunity because you have breath in your lungs. So that's just what I want. That's just what I want people, what I want my folks to walk away from and listening to this episode. And yes, wow, oh my gosh, Makisha, you done this and that, like, girl, So I think social media does such an amazing job of amplifying everything. Everything is bigger than life. And then sometimes we forget that sometimes the work that it takes to even post some of that stuff. It was a whole month after I came from LA when I posted it on my timeline. I was fighting for my life. Fighting for my life. And things take time. So I hope that you receive something from this and that you continue to listen, that you continue to tune in, because I can't wait to continue to have these conversations with y'all, even though it's me talking at the camera. But like, I really want to engage with the folks that are listening and tuned in, because I believe this is a part of my purpose. And I just pray y'all recognize what your purpose is as well and live in it unapologetically, apologizing to no one for what you were called to be, for what you were called to do, for how you were called to live. I'm not going to do live, laugh, love stuff. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. But what we are doing is learning more about who we are and living in our purpose that goes beyond just career and even calling. Love the people around you while you still have the opportunity. That's this episode of On the Move with Maki. I'm going to leave you with that, and I'm going to see you next time.